Make sure it's working, right?
Here we go. And we should be live. It always takes a couple minutes for people to start strolling in here.
Yeah, it's working now, yeah.
Well, welcome everyone to this first ever Frankie Tech and TechNick collab. And it's been a long time coming, man.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's good to be here.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Happy to be here. This is where it's all going to be happening.
The action's happening.
Fight Club.
But in all honesty, guys, it's been this collab's been a long time coming, and TechNick. Let's do some intros here real quick for these guys. Darren, Mitch Vicente, welcome, and we got a lot of people jumping in here from Philippines. I'm sure you got a lot of audience from the Philippines. Nick and Wong Si Hao, I see you coming in. And welcome everyone to this first ever collab with.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, man. Thanks for joining. So I thought, for the intros, be like, let's go to war. But honestly, man, I think the best part about this is that TechNick and I just want to say this right now. We're cool, bro. And I really appreciate us being able to reconnect. And, I said, making connections in YouTube is hard. And, it's a challenge doing this, week in, week out, kind of on your own. Going it alone is really tough. So having those connections, having those collabs, having opportunities to do this kind of thing are important. So, what do you think, man? And, we said, I feel like we're turning the page to everything. So.
Yeah, I think just to put it out there for everyone without going into too much detail, naturally as creators, you have those healthy competitors, those people that you go on YouTube and you check their channel and you're like, oh, he's done that video already. And then it starts building up stress on your own channel or vice versa. And it happens more often than you think that it actually becomes a bit toxic where you start checking up on their channel more than you check up on your own channel. And I think it's like that with a lot of things in life. So I think it was healthy competition at the start, and then it became a little toxic between us, but not even intentionally. It was just built up within our own heads. So there was just a natural little clash between us, and then Frankie reached out about a week or two ago, and we just started talking. And I was like, you know what? It doesn't even matter. Water under the bridge. I think that's some of the best reasons for being a man, to be honest. I mean, no offense to any women out there, but it's so easy for friends as guys. Like even when I was just a kid growing up, a kid will kick you in the shin and you'll just be like, you know what, bro, let's just go have fun and play with our toys. It doesn't matter. Who cares? The past is the past. The future is coming, and exciting times. And we are excited to do this more often. So we're definitely keen to get it going. It's
just getting started, man. Just getting started. And no, like you said, bro, water under the bridge. I'm so happy that we're here now with this awesome audience to do this. And, this may be the start of many. So, yeah, let's jump into it, bro. Let's do this. Let's do this. So we got a couple topics, guys, we want to discuss. But, the first one that was really relevant to me and TechNick and kind of what got us starting to talk in the first place again was about YouTube niches. This idea that we have other things that we're interested in, and yet, when you're doing a channel like mobile tech and stuff, it's hard to do pivot to another topic. And so my question to you, TechNick, is what do you think of YouTube niches? And do you think we can do on our main channel things that, we have interest in other things? Or do you think it makes sense to start a new channel to cover that kind of topic?
So this is definitely the main question. But before we get into that, Frank, you still have that comment at the bottom of our screen. So it's been there for a while.
Okay, let's take it down, shall we? Let's see, how do I do that?
Thanks for that one, sure. Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
so
appreciate that.
YouTube niches. I think it's a tough pill to swallow for creators and for viewers, because of course, viewers, if you're looking from a viewer standpoint, and obviously before we became creators, we were viewers, we were commenters, we were on a whole bunch of other, and we still are. We still watch channels for certain reasons. And I think from a viewer's perspective, you need YouTube niches or just niches in general, because I'm going to follow that person for that reason. And if he starts or she starts to create different content, and that's not the reason I started watching his or her videos at the start, I may possibly unsubscribe. I might possibly be less engaged. You know, I've always said to some people, like, you know, viewers don't necessarily unsubscribe. So sometimes creators try be a little flexible and test out the waters because they know it's a lot easier for a viewer to subscribe than unsubscribe. I mean, I'm not sure about you, but I barely ever go into a channel I've previously subscribed on and hit unsubscribe on it. It's not so niches it's important for a viewer because you go into that channel for that specific reason. But then if you look at it from a creator's perspective, creators get bored, you know, and they want to test out the waters, and they feel like they have to stick within their lane, like we've mentioned before. And it can become repetitive. It can become lonely. You can it's like getting stuck in a rut where you want to change things up because, like Frankie mentioned in some of the posts hyping up this video, is that you actually have more interests than just one. And you want to be able to share all your interests with everyone. You know, you want to be able to share everything. And unfortunately, that's just not the way of YouTube expectations from a viewer's or a creator's perspective. So I mean, that's to kickstart things off. But what are your thoughts on it, Frank?
Yeah, no, man, it's so true. And you know, I just said, like, we are multi-dimensional people, right? So like, if I only loved mobile tech, if you thought that was all I cared about, it's not true. As you guys know, I've been getting into these bad boys recently. I've been getting into watches, but there's other stuff I love too. I love, like, you know, I love watching sports, or I have interest in, like, you know, random things like that, or I'm like into architecture. I studied architecture. There's just all these other areas, like, you know, music, movies, but you can't really do any of that stuff if you're covering phones. And in the audience, guys, how many phones have there been this year? Like, have there been enough phones this year? There've been, like, quite a few, right? And so, like, I think it's the whole idea of, like, the repetitive, just like going in and out every week of, like, covering a new mobile tech product. It does get a bit tiring. And I mean, TechNick, you have been so consistent in the sense of, like, still being able to cover all of these releases. It's pretty incredible. But, like, I'm sure even eventually for you, you wanted to try doing other things. I know you mentioned, like, gaming. You're, like, into skating, stuff you used to do. To be able to do that on your main channel, it's a challenge.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I know that you've been speaking to me recently, even just a personal chat between Frankie and I, because since we've decided to become closer, like, collaboration friends on YouTube, we've actually been chatting on a more personal basis as well, you know. And Frankie said to me, I've had a huge interest in watches, and I'm not sure how my audience is going to take it. And I was like, at least it's not completely off tech. It is slightly tech related. Sure. But he's talking about Rolexes and Casio and stuff. And, you know, it's hard because you shouldn't even have to think like that. You shouldn't be in the position where you're like, oh, I love watches, but I'm not sure I should cover them on my channel, not because of me, but because of my subscribers. And I think and, you know, YouTubers constantly always have to think about that kind of thing because they're so worried about their channel. Because at the end of the day, people forget that creators like us solely rely on YouTube for income. And a lot of creators, it's their full-time gig, it's their full-time job. So when you're deciding to change things up on your channel, it's like deciding to do something 100% different in your permanent job that your boss is either going to like or not like. And more often than not, he's not gonna flow with it unless you make sense of it. So I think if YouTube could be broader and there was less niches, it could be more enjoyable. I feel like if it's not YouTube, then it could be a different platform, possibly where it's more focused on a personality than the niche. Like, it doesn't matter what you talk about, what you cover. If someone likes you as a person, then I think, I don't know, it's just a different concept of why people should follow people. A lot of people follow them for the content. But do you actually follow people for their personality, or just because of the content, or is it a bit of both, or is one a little higher than the other? Let us know in the comment section. That's a good question.
That's a great point. And this kind of segue into the next one here, you know, like, because we do have other interests, and I think you guys know, TechNick, what are other things that interest you? I've seen you've done some gaming stuff, you talk about skateboarding, but, like, I like the idea, you know, of imagine if you could create a playlist that would have a different kind of audience within your YouTube channel, and it would YouTube somehow magically recommend that playlist to specific people. You know what I mean? Just like thinking of how could a channel cover more topics without having it be like, oh, you do a phone video, it's like 20,000 views in a day, right? Then you do like a skating video and it's like 800 views, you know, and it's just like, it's so, you know, lopsided. It's hard to make that switch, you know?
That's actually a really good point. And it's actually a really good idea. If YouTube is watching this right now, what's up, guys? That would be really cool. But if you guys are, it's actually what Frankie just mentioned is a really good idea. If you could have like a subscriber, you could subscribe to certain playlists within a person. So you only get one sub for the channel. So say this random guy comes to my channel, he hits subscribe on my channel, then he sees the playlists, all the playlists, and he checks each individual playlist of the videos that he's interested in. So if he comes to my channel, I don't have to have just one niche about phones. One playlist will be phones, one playlist will be gaming, one playlist will be skateboarding, for example, my interests. And that guy will sub to me because a video of a skateboarding video popped up in his feed, not a phone video. Now, this new subscriber of mine has never seen me before. So anyone else here that's busy watching this obviously knows TechNick, Frankie Tech. I mean, it's even in our name. We talk about tech. But this random guy found me in his feed because of a skateboarding video. So when he jumps to my channel and he sees it's all about phones, he might not sub to me at all. But if he sees a subcategory over there that's a playlist that says skateboarding, he could hit a subscribe on that playlist only, so that only videos from that playlist pop up on his feed, which is a really good idea. And I think that's a fantastic idea. I'd actually like to see that happen.
Sweet. All right. It originated here from this collab, guys. TechNick, Frankie Tech. We're going to YouTube. We're changing the game.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh,
you heard it here first.
You heard it here first. Okay. So if you're watching YouTube, you see it already. All right. So now we're going to go to like something that obviously is very relatable to both me and TechNick. You know, we've been doing this. Funny enough, we actually started right at a very similar era.
Time. Yeah.
Like, it was like summer 2018 is when I think both of us started, and it's been a long journey. There's been ups and downs, and so I guess I want to ask you, man, like, what is the hardest thing about doing YouTube that you think people don't know? Like, just the behind the scenes. What is the thing, the most challenging thing that you think just people just maybe they don't think about it? It's just not a part of the experience of watching. So what do you think it is?
So I think that the hardest thing about doing YouTube is, for me, is probably the pressure that people don't actually understand how much pressure there is, especially for tech YouTubers. You know, like Frankie, he was going through a slump as well because of the pandemic, and he couldn't get his hands on Chinese phones. He's told me so many times, and it frustrates you because it's actually out of your control. You have no control over the situation, and the pressure starts building up. So it starts, you know, hitting home. It hits your heart, and you know, you care about your community, you care about your subscribers, and you want to do the best that you can for the content that they have come to watch. So when you're under pressure to give your community what they want and you can't follow through with that, I think that's the hardest thing when it comes to YouTube in general, because it's tough to just keep up with the times. Every day you're recording something. One of the biggest challenges for me is whenever you're focusing on one video, at the back of your head, you're thinking about the next 6, because you can never just, you know, everyone's always like, yeah, let's focus on the present. Let's focus on right now. Don't think about the past. Don't think about the future. That is impossible for a content creator. You always have to be thinking about what's next. What am I going to be doing in 2 hours? What am I going to be doing tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening? I still remember when I first started chatting with Frankie, and even up until last year, I think he's only recently started slowing down because honestly, the tech game is just so tough. But he would be posting like 2 or 3 videos a day. I mean, that's got to be tough. That is, I mean,
oh my gosh, I don't even know what the hell I was thinking, man. To be honest,
I couldn't imagine that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, that's such a great point. Like the feeling of like, what do I do next? And I call it the itch, but then if you don't scratch the itch, it eventually becomes anxiety, right? It starts becoming like, oh my gosh, I haven't posted something, or I don't know what I'm going to do next, or oh, this phone isn't available, or hasn't arrived, or it's delayed. You know, I'm sure like, and you're maybe experiencing something like that. He's like, I need to push this out, and you want to push content out, and you have a schedule of what you want to do, but then the reality sets in of of what actually happens and trying to work around that can be very stressful as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, definitely. It's also why content creators try and release something almost like a preview video. Like Frankie also, he does a lot of his street tech videos because, you know, it's also pressurizing having to be the first one. So if you're not the first one, or if you are the first one, no matter what, you need to get that video on the phone you just got your hands on out as fast as possible. So you can't exactly, you know, spend 5 days playing around with it, editing it to get your first video out, because by the time you do that, and unfortunately this is how the tech game works, the hype for the phone is dead. So it's actually a really tough one, because especially in the cell phone industry, you know, people are only really interested in phones, at least Chinese phones, for like 3 days. And if you don't hit that gap, then you don't get the views, and you'll end up wasting your money on picking up a phone that you were personally excited for. And then it kind of puts a damper on you, unless, you know, like people will talk about the latest Samsung Galaxy S series lineup or Note series lineup or iPhone for like a whole year. But if it's a Redmi or a Realme or a Xiaomi, the hype is just so small. And if you miss that gap, then, you know, then you've lost the views that you put in so much effort for. So it's good to get those preview videos out so that you can relieve yourself of the pressure. That's why recently I've been doing the initial reviews as well, because I would just go ahead and do my full review. But, you know, having that pressure of doing a video that actually takes a week to put together in a day or two, it's a lot of work, and it messes with you mentally as well. So it's good to get something out quick so that you can step back, take your time with something before posting it. Hopefully still getting your hardcore subscribers to watch it. Yeah.
And, you know, that's funny. That's why that's the origination of street tech. You know, when I've been on like Anytime, Anywhere, Frankie Street Tech, and like I do street tech anywhere, right? But it's normally in like the first 5 minutes of unboxing the phone and like sharing the initial experiences. I'm originally was like so excited just to do it, but eventually it became something like, oh, it's a place to just put something out there, relieve the pressure, and then I can go 2 days later, you know, do the more in-depth, like, you know, 24, 48-hour full video. And those street tech videos have helped a lot, just relieving that pressure. But at the same time, they've become kind of just one of my iconic types of videos. Sure, I just do it in a phone booth or on a boat, or in like, you know, want to do it like at top of the mountain next time. So like, just like, but it does help to just get something out there, like you said, TechNick, and like just be able to relieve that pressure that it's all a timing game. It's all a timing game, guys, in covering phones. Really is.
Yeah. And it actually sucks that you talk about relieving pressure, and, you know, I mentioned it as well. It's actually sad to hear that that's what it's come to, because I also remember, like, you know, when you do your first charge test, like I've done before, when you do your first battery drain test, like I've done so many times, or you get an exciting phone, you're so excited about it, and you're super keen to do the phone video that you don't care if you're up for 48 hours straight. You don't care what you're doing as long as you're doing this phone, because you have so much interest in it. But now, because we have reviewed 300 phones in a year, thanks to, let's not mention any names, Xiaomi, it gets a bit repetitive. It gets a bit boring, and then you have to relieve the pressure. And it's not about the excitement anymore. It's just about, let me do this so that I can get it done, instead of in the past, let me do this because I want to do it, you know? And it's sad to see that, because we're both still really interested in phones, and we're really interested in tech, but these phone companies are making it really hard for content creators like us to actually be excited about phones anymore, because they're just releasing 20 phones that have like the smallest difference between them. And, you know, you have to cover them because of people that want to watch the videos like you guys. So we do it mainly for you guys. There's half the phones I do on my channel I actually don't want to do reviews on, but I do it because I love my community. I love my subscribers. And I think Frankie's the same. He just, you know, bites down, puts out a video because he wants to give his community a reason to still watch and to still enjoy the channel. You know, it's not only about what we like, it's about what you guys like too.
That's so true, man. And, you know, it's a challenge to, obviously, especially with all the phone releases. You know, you got like, I didn't realize, because I just covered this new Poco X3 GT. Everyone's like, that phone was already released. It was the Redmi Note 10 Pro 5G in China. Like, didn't you know? It's like, oh my God, like, but it's like, when would I've noticed like these releases, different variants, different countries, and you like, and that you probably could run into this too, technically. It's like, do I cover the China variant? Like, it's just released here, but then, all of a sudden, the global unit's like being sent over soon, like, it's hard to decide like what to spend your time on. And the nonstop releases, different variants for different regions, it just makes it even more complicated to also even know what to recommend to people. They're like, oh, I want to buy the Redmi Note 10 Pro 5G. Like, should I wait or wait for the global version? Or does this phone suck? Or do I go for something else? It's hard because there's just so many and the difference is so small.
It's ridiculous,
You don't know what to do, what to recommend, really.
Yeah, it's a tough one, especially with the different variants. And, not mentioning any names again, Xiaomi is literally the owner of all of this. Xiaomi's starting trends, and as much as the company is amazing, they're setting a standard that if other companies don't follow suit, they'll fall behind. And Xiaomi is the reason for all the phone releases, because in the last couple of years they've been releasing a lot of phones, but last year and this year I don't think I think they released more phones this year and the end of last year than they had in the whole history of the company combined. So other companies have to try keep up, and it is a marketing thing. It is to target the consumer, even if they're only changing things a slight bit, but they don't realize how heavy they're hitting home with content creators as well. And that's why when we work with companies, like obviously Frankie gets sent phones from certain companies, and I do too, and then there's some phones that we still have to buy. We actually have to pull money out of pocket from our earnings on a phone that we didn't want to review to buy another phone that we don't want to review, just so that we can get the video out for you guys. So it's a twisted one, and you have to cover these phones. It sucks. I mean, if it were up to me, I would choose one phone out of the Xiaomi lineup for like 3 months, and then I would just take that one phone and focus just on that phone. But that's just not how it works. People will get bored of seeing the same phone over and over. But at the same time, when you show 5 different phones, then they are the same phones, but people that are watching know that they have a different name. But to you, you're like, this is the same phone, this is the same phone. But other people that are watching it, it's not, it's different. So,
exactly. It's so true. And there's great segue to the next kind of question here, which is like, so many phone releases, so much stuff. Like, what kind of tech now are you most excited about? Because it is hard with so many Xiaomi releases. I guess we can talk about what are the phones that we have been excited about. I think there's no doubt, if you've been watching my channel, that this, for me, has been probably one of the best, most exciting phones released this year. And Xiaomi, for all the phones they have released, they do some really great stuff, but they also have some that are just so just overkill, right? So TechNick, what is the upcoming tech that you're most excited about? Or if we do like a year in review here, like what phones have you been most excited about? And do you feel that there's some that have been stale? We've kind of talked about that already with Xiaomi, and which companies do you think are doing it right versus the ones that are maybe need some improvement?
Yeah, for sure. And on that topic, I think it's actually really good. It could be a future broadcast, a future collab between you and I again, about just this topic alone, are phones getting boring? Because I think that's a really big topic to cover. Because there's chipsets, obviously there's camera modules, there's waterproofing, there's curved displays, there's resolution of displays, there's refresh rates, and obviously it's so hard for me to say what phones are exciting, because it will be so different on a phone that you think is exciting. I mean, it might be similar for you and I, Frank, but for people watching, it might be different. Because I've asked a bunch of people, like, I'm a resolution guy. I would rather have a higher resolution than a higher refresh rate. I don't need 165 hertz refresh rates. If I have anything over 60, like 90 hertz, I'm perfect, as long as I have, a WQHD plus panel. Like, that matters more to me. But a lot of people will say, you know what, it's all right, I just need an HD panel, 720p, I'm good to go, but I want 165 hertz. And some people will be like, yeah, I want 120 watt charging, but I don't care if the battery is 2000 milliamps. And other people will say, I need a 10,000 milliamp hour battery phone, even if it takes 10 years to charge. So different aspects of phones excite people for different reasons. So it's really hard to say what excites you. I mean, if I had to personally go on the phone of the year for me so far, it might be a bit, hypocritical for people that review tech because you go with like the underdogs, like Xiaomi and stuff. But the S21 Ultra has been my daily driver since it came out, and I think it's been the best phone of the year all around. As much as I love the Mi 11 Ultra, I still think Xiaomi has a long way to go in terms of software. So software is the biggest gripe for me at the moment. And honestly, right now, the most exciting thing that is happening in the smartphones is the possibility of the change up of the Android ecosystem, because the only real thing that there is left to improve when it comes to the current line of generation of smartphones is software. They've forgotten about software. All these companies are just focusing on, can we take the best pictures, the best video, the smoothest screen? But at the moment, software has taken a huge backseat in the past years, and I'm excited to see it improve.
Oh yeah, man, that's so true. And I feel like these companies are obsessed with hardware, right? They just like, it's all hardware.
Numbers game, yeah.
And it's like, oh, MIUI 12.5 came and it broke my phone. Like you hear about those complaints and just like, it's like, oh, they didn't care about the software. Like my Redmi Note 10 Pro, I love this phone. It's a great phone. MIUI 12.5 did not make this a good experience. Like it's only now getting better. But like I wish, you're right, like that companies focus more on software and all that stuff. I want to bring in some of the comments here of you guys here. Thank you for all the wonderful comments. And so I'm just going to bring some up because we do have some interesting questions here. So what do you guys do with the devices after you review them? Do you sell them? And I think I can definitely respond to that. Absolutely. Because, here's the deal. Like if you're covering, certain phones, of course, there's some that you will love and some that you'll just keep, right? But in the case of like what Nick was talking about, the phones that you don't really want to cover, but you feel the need to do that for your audience, maybe after a week or two, maybe a month, it's time to move on. And so we do, at least I definitely will sell off phones. What about you, man?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, of course, you get sent a certain amount of phones from companies. And as much as you don't want to say it, like they sent me this phone for free, I should keep it or I should do a giveaway. But at the end of the day, when your main income is just YouTube earnings through AdSense, sometimes you just need that little boost of selling a phone, even if you've been sent it for free, because you actually struggle as a content creator. So many people will be like, yeah, you must be rolling, you must be super rich as a content creator. But at the end of the day, I think it's harder work for the same money I could do in any other job. People think YouTube is an easy gig, and I thought it would be, but it's a lot harder than you expect. So you unfortunately have to sell phones, even if, I would love to keep all the phones, but the only way I can buy the next phone to put on my channel to please you guys is if I sell the other phone. A lot of people will say to me, oh, why didn't you include this phone? Or why didn't you include this phone? I'm not going to comment every time and say, oh, I sold it, I don't have it anymore. But that's what it is. If I'm not making videos about a phone anymore, it's because I don't have it in my house anymore. It's gone.
It must be harder for you, man, with your your big charging tests and with the other stuff. Like people are like, yeah, please include the S20, the S20 Ultra, include the Pixel 4 and the 5. It's like, you're like, dude, I sold those like 2 years ago. Like I can't.
Yeah, they're all the old phones.
It's like, bro, can you do like every S20, like S10, S10 Plus? Like, can you do like a Samsung charging test like with all the last 4 years? Like, sorry, like they've been gone for like 2 years.
Yeah, and I think the thing is also with Chinese phones, because phones like Xiaomi release phones so often, it actually kind of kills the hype. Like there's been a lot of talk about hype from proper creators like Aaron from Mr. Who's the Boss and MKBHD. A lot of people have always spoken about hype, and it's a really big thing. I mean, OnePlus literally drove their name into the ground because of hype. And the way that they changed their company style. So with Xiaomi, they build up a little bit of hype, but they kind of kill their own hype by releasing so many phones. As a consumer, you're waiting for a phone to release, and it releases, and you get that phone as soon as you can. And then like 1 week later, there's another phone, and you're like, damn, did I make the wrong decision? That's why, I respect you for saying how much you love the Mi 11 Ultra and how it's such a unique phone. And that is because, honestly, if you ask me, that's the only phone Xiaomi released this year, like released. because everything else is just so similar and has been replaced 10 times already this year, where the Mi 11 Ultra is actually their main unique phone of the year. And you're talking about what you're excited for, what you've been most excited for. The S21 Ultra, what isn't the most exciting phone, but it's a great all-rounder. The Mi 11 Ultra was probably the best phone of the year. And I'm super excited for the Mi Mix 4 to see what they do, because those are probably going to be I think this is Xiaomi's year. I just wish they would stop releasing so many phones in between gaps, Oh
my gosh, it's so true. And Junjun, I see Junjun here. We're pretty much answering this question right now. What is your main daily driver? And I tell you, like the Mi 11 Ultra. Now, I will admit, I think you guys might know this already, but yes, there is a 12 Pro Max that is typically near or around my pocket most of the time, because I carry two phones. I'm kind of one of those guys, and I do have like the Android side, I do have the iPhone. I can just type faster on iPhones. I don't know if you're the same, man, but like those are my daily drivers. S21 Ultra. I tell you, man, there's probably no other phone I regret selling more this year than the S21 Ultra. It was such a terrific phone, but really it was because of what you said earlier, like to fund the next phones and to kind of get more traction into that, you need to make sacrifices. I wish I could have kept it. It's the one phone that if things were to change in the future, I mean, now it's probably too late, but like I would love to buy that back because it's such a great phone.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to get replaced soon as well. But you see, another thing is with selling phones as well. My daily driver, by the way, is the S21 Ultra. If you didn't pick up on that earlier, anyone watching right now, I only use one phone as my daily. I know a lot of content creators use two. Some people use three. Most content creators that are in the tech game and they cover phones, like other YouTubers I mentioned earlier, they always keep around an iPhone. And I've actually dug into this a bit, and it's because with an iPhone, when you use things like Instagram or Twitter, and you use the inbuilt camera function on an Android to send a photo to your story or a video, it's always bad quality on an Android. You have to first go into your actual camera app, do a recording or take some photos, and then you have to go into the respective app like Twitter to make the story from that, which is a bit of a pain. With an iPhone, when you do a story or you go live, it's like full quality of what you would see within the camera app because of Apple's software. It's not because all these apps prefer Apple or iOS. It's just because iOS is so well optimized that there's no drawbacks. And that's why a lot of people use iPhones. I have an iPhone 12 Pro Max. Unfortunately, as much as I'd love to sell it so that I could fund new phones, there are certain phones you just can't sell because it's always good. It's like a benchmark, You use the one benchmark, like Antutu. You keep Antutu on all phones to run through the benchmark so that you can compare them. Sometimes it's good to have a benchmark phone. So if you put a S21 Ultra, most people are going to say S21 Ultra verse, and that phone will most likely be iPhone 12 Pro Max.
Yep.
The new Sony Xperia 1 Mark III verse. If you put verse on YouTube, the next phone that pops up will be iPhone 12 Pro Max. So it's good to have a phone that you can bench things to. And it's the same with Samsung's best phones and Xiaomi's best phones. But it's not the same for other phones. Xiaomi's smaller phones or Realme's phones, we sell them quicker because people probably forget that they even exist. So there's no point of keeping them if they're not going to boost your views, And I think phones that are flagship phones, proper flagship phones like Samsung's and iPhones and Xiaomi's flagship phones, those are the ones you have to keep because people always want to see other phones compared to the best phones of the year.
It's so true, man. And, funny enough, like my one video that finally made it to 1 million views, man, like it was like long time coming. I never had that happen, bro. And like, I know you have quite a few videos that have done above and beyond, man. So congrats for that. But like the one video that did it was the 11 Ultra versus iPhone 12 Pro Max camera test. And I just thought how funny that my biggest video of all time has the iPhone in the video. And you're so right. Like when you think of versus, what's the other phone that's going to be there? Yeah. It's that iPhone, right? And it's just like such a go-to thing like that people just do. And I guess I did it too, and it worked out. So yeah, it's so true, man. I put this up here, Darren. I think it's a great, question. And, as it relates to iPhone, that's a big reason why I also use the iPhone quite a lot. The software, like you're talking about, the in-camera experience. But in terms of Android, let's see, TechNick, which Android skins do you prefer?
All right, so just on those three that he threw up there, MIUI, ColorOS, and One UI, I'm gonna have to say definitely not MIUI, because half the time it's buggy and you guys don't see things behind the scenes. As a reviewer, you have to set up phones. Every time we get a new phone, we don't just get the phone. We have to personalize it. You know, we have to throw wallpapers up there. We have to get apps on there. We have to make it our own phone as if we were using it for the past year, just so that we can share the info with you guys. So not even recording, just filming or prepping before we start filming, we have to set up phones and you really start to dig deep into software. So whenever I set up a phone, my biggest issues and the longest time I have to spend setting up a phone is always on MIUI. I get bombarded with problems and issues. And, you know, I'm not trying to hack at Xiaomi, but if they were listening to this, I'm glad, because I would like them to say, you know what, our hardware is amazing. Let's focus on our software. And they're not listening because people have been complaining about MIUI for years now. It's been the one problem. It needs to get fixed. ColorOS is amazing. I think it's probably one of my favorite softwares. And, you know, if they were to replace Oxygen OS on OnePlus devices with ColorOS like they've recently done in China, I'd actually be fine with that, because ColorOS has come further than any other software in the last year, if you ask me. The little touches that they put into ColorOS has really made it shine above other ones. And One UI, Samsung's One UI is a bit skin heavy, because I actually prefer more of a stock experience. But I like the little tweaks that they throw in there. You know, it would actually be cool if you could kind of customize your own software. You know, when you first turn on your phone, it shows you like a list of things, like a long list. I'm saying 200 items that you can check or uncheck that will be in your phone or not, depending on how much bloat you want. That would be really cool, like your own pre-built software. It could still be ColorOS or One UI, but it's like, you know, do you need a weather widget every time you pull down your notification shade? I mean, if you like it, that's cool. If not, then just uncheck the box. You know, it would be really cool to get that going. What software do you like, Frankie? What's your favorite software?
Yeah, man, I'm you know, I gotta say, like, from the Android side, I think MIUI come a long way, but I really wish, man, if MIUI 13, if they could just pull, like Apple did this with Mac OS many years back. They released Leopard, and then they released Snow Leopard, was this software where they said the biggest feature of this software, 0 new features. It's all about stability, improving the experience. And I would love for Xiaomi, because I love MIUI. I use it a lot. I do agree it has problems. If they could come out with a software version and say, we are going to release 0 new features, and we're only going to improve everything else under the hood, like redo it, like just make it butter. Like, that would be amazing. And I think, you know, then, you know, there's so many cool features that MIUI has. And I do think I, you know, find myself using it the most, but then it's just so disheartening when phones like the Redmi Note 10 Pro, which I could recommend before, I had to do a video afterwards saying, like, no, I can't, because the software just got destroyed on this phone. And so I would say from the Android side, I'm still like a stock Android guy. I think if you give me one thing, like Pixel, it's funny, Hunter Killer here, talking about Lineage OS. I'm not too familiar with that one as much, but like, I think if I had to only pick one, I would probably just go with a stock kind of a Pixel-like experience, because it's I don't know, man, it just works, and it's just clean. And, you know, they've thought about the software, the look, and the design. And, you know, I just hope Pixel hardware was better, because then it could actually run, you know, the software, which would be great, and you'd have a perfect experience.
And, you know, I think things have actually changed so much, because I still remember seeing comments maybe 2 years ago. You know, everyone would be talking stock is the way to go, stock Android, stock Android, stock Android. But it's changed so much now that people are actually preferring heavy skins. I mean, I don't know what's changing about it, but people are actually starting to comment and say stock Android sucks. There's no features. We want heavy skinned Android skins. You know, it's
funny. And, you know, it's like even Pixel, not stock, actually, it's like Pixel's version of Android. So like, there really isn't like a stock AOSP version anymore. You know, it's kind of dead. And ColorOS is great. I think actually I'm now more interested in like Oppo and like ColorOS versus like OnePlus, I've had some issues with them, like just like the company, the way they've kind of gone about things. But if they get assimilated, you know what? I'm actually more interested in what Oppo and ColorOS are doing, because you're right, man. It's such a clean software. It's green. I love green. It's my favorite color. So I just think it's a good look, and it's just very stable. One UI I don't mind, but for some reason I don't love using it as much as maybe a Pixel type of launcher or even ColorOS. I think I would be okay with using as my daily, So
yeah, I think it's also what you've become used to. So like I've been using One UI, well, Samsung software forever. I remember when it was that old TouchWiz, or I can't even remember what it was called. Samsung software was terrible back in the day. It's changed a lot. I like One UI. I think if Xiaomi pull a rabbit out of the hat like Samsung did, because Samsung desperately needed to change up their software when they did, and they did, and it made a huge difference to people's mindset on Samsung software. And that is when most Apple users switched to Android, because the software started getting better. iOS was a hell of a lot better than Android, but it's nearing the gap now. Phone companies are doing better jobs with software, and we need more companies like Xiaomi to start realizing that.
Very true, man. Very true. Just a quick question here from July 26th. Do you guys think foldable screen technology is the future? Well, it definitely is a part of the future. I don't know if it's like the future though. Like the Galaxy Z Fold 3, I'm pretty excited. There was the Mi Mix, the Mate X2. They're cool phones. But TechNick, do you think we'll all be using foldable phones only in the future?
So if that were to happen, I would probably be using an S21 Ultra. If all phones switched to foldables, I'd probably use an S21 Ultra till I died, because I refused. I mean, and I'm not even going to say I'm not going to hate on foldables, because I am. I think that foldables are the worst thing ever to happen to the smartphone industry.
Oh my God, I gotta hear this one. I obviously have been out of the loop, of course, guys, but now we got to hear it. And look at this. Yes, here's Kaylee. Kaylee, Nick hates foldable tech. Okay, explain. This is a fun topic.
Yeah, so that's actually my wife. For any of you who don't know, commenting over here, watching. Thanks for watching.
Oh, Kaylee.
Yeah, so foldable tech, and I've told her many times, I've told a lot of people many times, it's just so impractical. First of all, when you unfold the foldable, the screen is not that much bigger than a regular smartphone screen. It looks a lot bigger in all the advertising and stuff, but once you open it up, it's actually just more square. It actually reminds me more of old school phones, which used to have a 16:9 aspect ratio. You know, the big phones, like before we went to 20:9 aspect, they had like a normal TV laptop screen aspect ratio. So it was like the big square kind of thing. So all they're doing is they're taking the new school screen size, and then when you unfold it, they have the old school aspect ratio sense. So you're kind of having like the best of both, because a lot of people don't like watching on such a wide screen. That's also why there's a lot of hate with the Sony Xperia ones, because people don't like that long, lanky aspect ratio. And now what foldables are doing is they're putting a strange aspect ratio on the front. It's like a really narrow, strange thing. And the biggest gripe for me is that it's double as thick. And when that phone is in your pocket and it bulges out like that, I would rather have an iPad in my backpack and a phone in my pocket and use the iPad when I need it. Because honestly, when you're on the go and when you're doing things, are you really gonna, unfold your phone and start using it that way? I think you will, because it's just so terrible when it's closed. I mean, let's be honest. There's no good foldable phone that is actually worth using when the fold is closed. It's all about being open. So it's just, I just think it's the worst part of smartphone.
It's definitely like a work in progress. I would agree. It's like, it's not there yet. And they're just too heavy, man, too. They're just like heavy bricks. Like they're almost as heavy as this new, you could tell that I was sent, this massive thing. But it's like, the point is like a phone has to be comfortable to use every day. And every time I bought the Z Fold 2, I bought the Fold before that, I would use them for like a month. I love them. And then eventually it was just like using the front display a lot. The front display sucks. This sucks. I'm moving on. So that was kind of the way it went. And, it's cool. And I love the innovation and everything. But, the internal displays, right, they're like not ready yet. You you could pierce them easily. You know, like the bend.
The creases as well. Yeah,
you start seeing the crease. It gets worse over time.
terrible.
These are not ready like for prime time yet, and I don't know if they ever will be. You know, but the point is, it's innovation, and I guess we have another question about like rollables. Maybe that could be a form factor. You know,
I think it's more interested in rollables. Yeah,
it's definitely something that could be more interesting, and so that's a very good topic. We're gonna jump to the next one now. We cover China tech, as we know, and TechNick, you're in China, you're covering tech. So I'm gonna ask, man, what is life like in China covering tech? Because I'm in Hong Kong, similar kind of experience, but like, what is that experience like? And there's pros and cons to being in China covering tech, but then there's a lot in between. So what can you talk about that?
Yeah, so number one thing, biggest pro for living in China mainland is that I can walk down the streets and pick up a phone the minute it releases. So it's really easy to get your hands on the latest phones that come out. Sometimes I'll get a phone and people will be like, well, this is only supposed to release next month, but not in China, but no one knows about that. You really have to dig through research in order to do it. And a lot of the research that I do on Chinese phones is actually on Chinese sites and on Chinese sales sites where you can purchase the phones so that they're ready. Because if you go online, a lot of dates don't actually point to the Chinese date. You actually have to dig deeper within, and you get phones really quick. So I think the biggest pro is that it's so easy to gain access with Chinese phones. But the biggest gripe with living in mainland China is, for those of you who don't know, there's, the Great Wall of China, and that means no Google. So being a content creator for a platform made by Google, which is YouTube, having to use VPNs, and every time I get a phone and there's no Google services on, you turn on the phone and you start praying, God, please let Google Play services work on this phone, because if they don't, then you're going to be battling for the next 10 hours trying to get them on there, so that, because your whole community is, your community uses Google. My biggest community are Indians and people from the States and the UK, and all these people use Google. Yeah, Indians. Yeah, for sure, guys. I have a lot of good friends back in South Africa that are also Indians, and one of my favorite foods are curry. So yeah, definitely pro India.
Oh yes, dude. We'll talk about Indian food someday. I love that stuff so much. But yeah, no, it's such a great point, man. That like there's the pros of like even being in Hong Kong, and like when the borders are not closed forever, it was easy because like they would literally, a phone would arrive in Shenzhen, and if you guys don't know, like Shenzhen is like the factory of the phone world.
It's the Silicon Valley of China,
factory, right? And going to the phone malls, and then the guys will pick them up, and I could typically get a day one China release like later that evening, because it's like an hour. It's literally in 1 hour to the border to mainland China. Now, of course, like because of the challenges of COVID and all that, it's like gotten harder. But either way, it's still super convenient. And in terms of options, in terms of the pricing, I feel bad for all the guys in Europe who are like 20% VAT. Like, I feel bad for all my, reviewer buddies in Europe. They struggle because like you want to get a phone, you want to get the new China release, and it's a great phone, and you're gonna have to pay a pretty hefty price to do that, right? So I think that is definitely the pros of being here. But then obviously the cons, like you said, well, I mean, Nick, you're in China without the Google support. I mean, I think that's probably the hardest part, man. And dealing with GMS, like, can it get on the phone? Do I have to find this workaround? And then like the guys tell me like, oh, don't mention this to anyone. It's illegal. Like, don't tell them about how you put Google on this phone. It's like, just crazy workarounds to try to do that, because in the grand scheme of things, most of our audience does use Google. And if there's no Google on a phone, like for Huawei, for example, like it's tough, man. It's tough to even for me to like do a review of it, because I use a lot of those things. You can sideload apps and stuff, of course, but this segues to, this is a good question actually. If Huawei still has Google service, do you think they already take over Samsung at this moment? That's a very interesting hypothetical. TechNick, what do you think?
So I'm a huge Samsung fan. Like I'm not gonna lie, I'm a fanboy. I'm biased towards Samsung. Not in my videos though. I always try be unbiased when it comes to videos comparing it. But I do love Samsung phones, so it's really hard for me to say that, yes, I do think Huawei would take over Samsung, because they do take better quality images. at one point I thought that their software was better. Their designs of their phones were outstanding, and they still are with the new ones, with the new P50 lineup coming out. It's really sad to see how something so stupid can just smack down a company so quickly. And I think Huawei is one of the biggest companies in the world, not even just in smartphones, just in general. They are a huge, massive company. If you've seen their headquarters, one of the biggest in the world, they have one of the highest employment rates ever. They employ so many people. I think right there on top of the line with Apple, with how many people they employ and how huge their headquarters are. They're a huge company. And I think that if they weren't to take over Samsung with Google services, they definitely deserve to, because they are a really hardworking company. And I really feel for them at this point in time in the last year or so, because it's tough. It's a struggle.
Yeah, man. And, I just did a quick reaction video yesterday when I heard that this P50 Pro is not going to be able to get 5G because of the chipsets, because they basically, it just sucks. I was so excited about this phone. I was ready to be like, I'm going to work around the lack of GMS. Like I'm getting into Huawei again. Like, and then it's like no 5G. And I'm just like, it's not a deal breaker. Obviously, I could still, use the phone and stuff.
Yeah.
But like 5G is pretty rolled out here. And I just feel bad for them because it's like the P40 Pro, Mate 40 Pro, they all had 5G. Now, not because they couldn't technically do it, right? That they cannot include those Qualcomm, 5G modems in the phone because of the stupid ban that they're kind of left out now. And it's just like another thing that they have to deal with. It's just I just felt bad for it. It's like, it's so unfortunate, man.
Yeah, I mean, I covered this slightly I did that video. I think it was the first time I ever did, top upcoming phones. And I actually had a lot of fun. It was a long video. A lot of people were like, this is such a long video. I did put timestamps in there so that you could flick to what you want. But I think my biggest section was Huawei. And it was because it was the most interesting thing to talk about, honestly. I mean, with all these bans, and because I did this video, it forced me to do a lot of research. And the ban goes way above, just about what happened, and preventing it to happen again means that Huawei can't have 5G no matter what chipset they use. Nothing. They just cannot use 5G in this until this ban has been lifted. So any future phone that comes out, I guess past phones, they can't exactly prevent 5G from being used. But any future phones that come out, they actually have to get chipsets made, custom built, in order to not include 5G within the phone. And it's a heavy thing that they have to overcome. And the biggest thing is that they say to themselves, our hardware is so amazing on our phone. So do we charge the same price, slightly lower because there's no 5G? Do we make it a really cheap phone, like take out some of the hardware just so that people are more interested in it? Because at the moment, 4G phones that are releasing are not flagship phones. And now Huawei are charging heavy, expensive prices for their new lineup with no 5G. So now it's not even just, they don't have Google, but they have this, and this. So I will pay the premium price tag. Now it's like they don't have Google and they don't have 5G. It's really hard to justify the rest of the hardware. So
yeah, man, it's just like one more knock after another, man. And I don't even want to think about like what the next thing will be that they can't do, because they were making amazing phones, man. It's really, really tough. So guys, we're going to be slowly wrapping up here, but we got a few last sections here we want to cover. And I think this is a good one, man. This is a bit more about the creator life again, but I think it's a kind of a cliche one, but I want to ask you, man, what is one piece of advice you wish you could have given yourself at the beginning that now of this whole journey, when you were just starting out? What's the one thing that you wish you could have known? And maybe I'll start with myself first. Like, I wish I could have known that the journey on YouTube is not one steady upwards climb. I wish I'd known that like at 10,000 subs that I would be having challenges at 50,000, same as at 100,000, the same as at like 200,000, that the struggles are still there. And this idea that, like once I'm at 200,000, it's all going to be like, I'm just going to be like laid back on a beach. Like the videos we're making themselves, like I'm relaxing, like I'll be made. Because it's not true. Like the reality is I wish I'd known that you just got to keep working at it. You got to keep making the effort, because even at this point of our careers, like there's always going to be challenges, struggles, and I wish I just been able to see that in myself to say, you know what, it's going to be a long journey. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So you need to know it's not all one straight shot up. And what about you, man? What's the one piece of advice you were thinking about giving yourself?
Yeah, I think for sure what you were mentioning is a very valid point. You know, a lot of people think once I hit that milestone, you know, I'm set, I'm famous, everyone bow down to me, you know. And I think a lot of people have that because you work so hard to get there. You kind of have this expectation that you'll be set up for life once you hit that, whether it's 100 or 200,000 or 1 million subs. But the reality is that if you don't keep working at it after that, then that's where you'll stay. And that's the hardest thing, because once you reach a milestone, you can't even sit back, relax, and celebrate for more than a minute, because you need to be working on the next thing, whilst your channel is going to be at a stalemate. And you have to keep pushing, because it's always, once you get to 100, you enjoy it for a minute, and you're like, now I want 200. You enjoy it for a minute. You're like, I want 1 million. You know, I want 500,000. I want 1 million. Then I want 10 million. You always need more on YouTube, where it actually stops becoming about the money. But for me, if I could have gone back in time and given myself advice, it would have definitely been the balance of life. YouTube consumes you like nothing else. You eat, you sleep, you drink smartphones or whatever your niche is on YouTube. It becomes so bad that your social aspect, your social life, you know, you stop socializing with friends, you stop going out, you stop doing your general hobbies, you stop going outside, you're sitting down all day, every day. If it's not doing research, it's looking at a phone. And then when you do go outside, it's to take photos using that phone. So you don't even enjoy just going outside and enjoying being out. So I think my biggest advice to anyone that starts a channel now, or even for me, if I start up a new channel, exciting things, I am excited to do some new stuff with YouTube, not even on my existing channel, but on a new one, is balance your life before you get going. Realize what you need to balance. Family is still the most important key. You know, you still have to, whatever time you're putting into YouTube, make sure you're putting that exact same amount of time into everything else in your life. Because if you don't, it will mentally mess you up. Yeah, for sure. It's a long journey, and it's
advice, man. And you know, technically, like we're both married. We have significant others, and you know, I always say like I couldn't have done this journey without my better half. And really understanding of the time and the, you know, just like taking over the room, you know, being away for hours, like being editing, it's like that's a lot of time taken away. And so like knowing to balance that with your better half, with like, you know, I got a daughter and stuff, like it's, you know, making the time, like what you said, I think is such a golden piece of advice, is that you need to put as much effort into those things as into your channel, because in the end, like, what are you doing it for, right? Like you're just building yourself up, but in the end, if you're going to be by yourself, if you're going to be just like with nothing else in the world but that, like you're not going to feel fulfilled either, especially if like something were to happen with the channel, or, you know, God forbid. It's like, so I think it's important to know that why are you doing this? Like, what are you doing it for? And it's like, it's great advice, man, to keep that balance for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And you spoke about us both having wives. Yeah, we do. I actually found out, I mean, I don't know if you want to mention that you have a kid, but I never knew that. That's
you didn't know that? Yeah, no, I think a lot of she's been slowly creeping into my Twitter feed every once in a while with a few photos. But yeah, it's crazy, man. You know,
I didn't even know that. That's really amazing. So cool.
5, turning 6 next week. I have no idea, dude. Anyone with kids in the audience, I'm sure you're like, they were 1 and then they're like 5 and then they're probably 10. It's just like, boom.
I don't know how you do it. You know, you've had a kid for so long and you were posting 3 videos a day, and you're married. That's, you know, I mean, not to sound like anything, but that's imbalance, you know, and that's the problem that you can have, because that can lead down a very dark path if you're doing 3 videos a day, and you have a family that they come in second place, you know, and you're focusing on YouTube because you want to get to that milestone, that nothing else matters. You know, it can really start affecting you mentally, and it can mess up your own life, because at the end of the day, you know, we're not the biggest YouTubers. As big as we are, when we die one day, people are not going to remember, you know, TechNick and Frankie Tech. We're going to be right at the bottom there. You know, only the really big guys, you know, PewDiePie and T-Series and stuff, those guys will be remembered because they changed the course of history when it comes to YouTube. We're just doing what we can to get by and give back to the community, and we're doing what we love. And it's cool that we're doing what we're doing, but I think it's a lot harder for the smaller guys, even though we're a lot bigger than other guys. It's harder for the smaller guys to try balance because we want to get to where they're at and we don't want to drop down to where lower people are at. So we're in like a strange phase. It's like when you grow your hair out and you're in that middle phase where it feels awkward, you know. It's like, for anyway, it's an awkward thing where we're sitting right now. We're not sitting pretty yet, but we're out of the slumps. You know, we can afford to not release 3 videos a day right now. We can afford to start balancing life a bit better because we have over 200,000 subs. And that's another similar thing about our channel, is that we've actually made it pretty good in the time frame that we've had. We've always had similar content. I mean, you've posted a lot more videos than I have. I have no idea how you've done it. Like, so I couldn't. It's too many. Like, I struggled to do 3 a week because, you know, YouTube's it's a tough game. It's really hard to just say, you know, like, tomorrow I'm going to do this, and then you get to it and you're like, how am I going to do this? And you're like, I've done the same video 30 times. There's only one way to do it, and if you do it that same way, it becomes boring and repetitive. So it's hard to start spicing things up. You know, it's like a relationship. Sometimes you need to mix things up so that it can be a bit spicy again. It's like this constant love-hate relationship between you and phones and YouTube. It's a tough one, yeah.
Yeah, and that's a great kind of question from Rodrigo. Like, what are you working on now if you had never opened the YouTube channel? And that's an interesting one, like because I guess people might not know, like, well, unless you heard the news already, that I'm starting a full-time role on Monday. So I'm going to be entering this whole other industry of watches and stuff. And it's going to be even less time. So trying to balance that's going to be even harder. But, you know, people know that, you know, TechNick, you've done all the phone tech and all that stuff. But what did you do before that? And you've done other stuff. You've been in other kind of things, you know, like, so I don't know if you wanted to share, like, what would you be doing maybe now if you didn't have a YouTube channel?
So, I mean, there's such a big difference between when I was in high school, what I wanted to do, when I was in university, what I wanted to do. You know, I've had a lot of things that have happened to me in my life that I'm not going to speak about now that have made things really difficult. So I went to 3 different universities and I didn't finish my degree. So I actually don't have a degree. So I've put everything into YouTube because I don't have that backup plan. I don't have that safety net. But, you know, like, my wife always reassures me. She said, you know what, I'm getting my master's degree, because she is, and I'm so proud of her for getting it. It's really amazing.
Nice.
But she said to me, you know, I might be getting my master's degree, but I have no experience in my field. You have no degree, but you have an entire channel, which is a portfolio that if you go to a tech startup company, you just point them to your YouTube channel and that's all the experience you need. So I think if YouTube, if I ever wanted to get into a full-time gig like you're getting into, you know, it's so easy to go to someone and be like, go have a look at my YouTube channel. You know, there's my CV. And it's really cool to build yourself up. You've become your own brand, which is awesome. But talking about what I would have been doing before I started up with YouTube, when I was still living in my home country, South Africa, I moved to China almost 4 years ago now. And I was working at an insurance brokerage. You know, we were doing like stocks and just general insurance, you know, household insurance, medical aid, stuff like that. And I was working on my financial degree in that field. You know, things didn't really go according to plan. And I stopped that job, stopped that degree, and flew to China. That was the last thing I was doing before I came here. So I guess if YouTube didn't happen, I don't know if I would still be doing that, because it didn't exactly make me happy. But I might have been in that, because just like so many other people out there, a lot of people are stuck in jobs that they don't necessarily like, you know? If only the world was that flexible place where everyone could afford to do what they love, no matter the pay. And that's the sad thing about the reality that we live in.
It is a sad reality. It's funny, though, talking about, like, you know, it's amazing to hear also you did insurance, because I actually started when I moved to Hong Kong, man. I was in medical insurance broker. So we can chat about that some other time. But yeah, no, like, to be able to do a job and like and have it be in your passion or something you're interested in is very hard to do. You know, it's very hard to come by. And most people are in jobs that they just don't really have as much of a passion for, right? But like, I think your point of like using your channel as your CV, man, it is so true, because the role I'm leaving now is I was working for a tech startup and it was part-time. The only reason why I got that job, man, was because of the channel. Like, so there will be opportunities that may open up to you, man. And like, it will be because of what you have built up over the last 3 years. And ultimately that's the real success of doing YouTube. I think is like in the end, like, yeah, we want to build up our channels, and that's great. But like, you have a portfolio of what you've done already, and that is your career. It's like your CV. People will see that, and people will respect that. And if anything, they might just be like, "Oh my God, like this guy's amazing. Can you come and help us out? Like even a consultancy status, or like, or help us grow our channel, or have any ideas?" Like all these different things could happen because of what you built up. And I think that's the beauty of it too. It's not just to think that like, you know, you haven't done anything, or that like you do each video. Yes, YouTube is where we live, but people see that. Other industries, other companies will see your efforts, and you know, they may be very interested in what you can offer, you know, at some point. So no, it's exciting, man.
Yeah, it is exciting for sure. I mean, one last thing I want to say about that is that if I were to be doing anything I would want to do right now, and I probably will do it, is graphic design and animation, because I've always wanted to do that since I was a kid. So I think I'm going to try get a course under my belt and start doing, maybe I'll post some YouTube videos about different animated things and experimenting with animation. I think, I mean, I'll try and make it tech related, you know, maybe I'll do an animation of us walking down the street in Hong Kong with a Xiaomi Mi 11 Ultra and an S21. So I'd like to do that. I also want to get into film. I want to start doing film in a more professional way, and I want to learn more. I mean, I edit a lot, but there's always more aspects to editing. So I think I might land up doing a course on editing. And, you know, even if I'll probably still do, as a YouTuber, you just know, YouTube will be in your blood until the day you die. And it will be, even if it's not our full-time gig, we're still going to be posting videos about phones when we're 90 years old. But if YouTube is not my main gig, I'll definitely be using YouTube as a foundation for everything else I do from now until the day I die, because it is who we are. It's what has made us. It's the reason for where we are right now. You probably wouldn't be so interested in something else like watches or trying to do this full-time gig if it wasn't for YouTube. So everything happens for a reason, you know. You have to go through certain things to get to other places. And sometimes you got to bite the bullet and do something you don't want to do, so that later on you can do something that you absolutely love. So you got to just keep at it. Like you say, just keep swimming, huh?
Just keep swimming, baby. Yes. I think that was the first time we were in touch, and I said just keep swimming. So it's and there's a perfect segue here, man, to the end of this show. But we're gonna do a fun thing here, because we did promise a battle. We did promise a battle, but we're gonna do this. It's gonna be kind of a grab bag of questions. And audience, if you're in the audience, we're gonna need your help here. So basically, what we're gonna do, we're gonna just throw some random questions out. TechNick, you'll respond. I will respond, and then the audience will vote. And how do you vote? You just write in your answer, which answer you prefer, and that'll be it. And you'll get some points here. It's going to be a little battle, TechNick versus Frankie Tech. Here we go. First question, favorite ice cream flavor?
Favorite ice cream flavor, chocolate. Off the tip of my tongue. Yeah, and you?
Mint chocolate chip.
Mint chocolate chip. All right. Mint. You know, I'm gonna hate you a bit for that one, because mint and chocolate together.
I would have said strawberry, but you know, I really do. I think mint chocolate chip is the one. So, audience, if you want to chime in, which of those do you prefer?
Plain chocolate. Plain chocolate's the best, guys.
Oh, chocolate. Okay, we got the vote for chocolate there. Oh, damn. Okay, okay, there's one for mint chocolate chip. There we go. This is exciting. Okay. Oh, damn. 2-1 chocolate. Okay. So it looks like chocolate is the preferred choice here. But if you haven't tried mint chocolate, it's a good one. I'm just going to say
1-0.
1-0. Damn. All right. Here we go. Favorite TV show? TechNick on the spot. Or if you want, I can go first to make it
all right, you go first. You go first this time, yeah.
Favorite TV show ever? Oh, this is a tough one. I'm going to say Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad for me is just one of the most amazing shows. I don't know if you guys have seen it. Terrific show.
This one's a tie. This one's a tie. Breaking Bad's my number one.
Really? Oh, wow. There you go, man. You learned something new.
But if Game of Thrones ended better, it would have been number one. But it didn't.
Oh,
The ending of Breaking Bad was just the perfect ending to any show ever. if you haven't seen Breaking Bad and you are over the age of 18, you should definitely check it out.
Yes, definitely, man. That is definitely one of those over 18. But yeah, you're right. One of the greatest endings of probably the greatest show of all time. So,
amazing.
all right, favorite movie or movie series? TechNick, go for it.
Favorite movie, The Wolf of Wall Street.
All right. Favorite movie, Wolf of Wall Street. That's a damn good one. I'm going to say my favorite movie, I was between these two, but I'm just going to go with the one that more recently it's like an iconic 80s film. Back to the Future is my favorite movie of all time.
You've won this one. You just won. 1-1.
Are you sure?
Everyone will vote Back to the Future. There we go.
I mean, look, I was between Star Wars, A New Hope, Back to the Future. Yeah. I also love Jurassic Park. I'm like a big Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, I like all kinds of movies. I even dig animations, obviously.
Oh, animation. Nice. Awesome. Yeah. All right, this is going to be a fun one. Favorite game. Like video game or board game or any game? I mean, let's keep it to, since we're like, we're tech, let's keep it to like, PC or console game, something like that. Like what would we say is like your favorite game? Well, let's make it even more relevant. Your favorite game right now or the favorite game that you're into? Because it's a tough question. So go for it.
All right. So there's so many different genres. I'd probably say multiplayer. It's a toss-up between Rocket League. A lot of people don't enjoy Rocket League. It's just so much fun. Where you have to kick the soccer ball into the goal with a car. If you don't know about that one, then Call of Duty for multiplayer. Story-wise, old school The Witcher 3, really good game, yes. and the GTA series. So Grand Theft Auto.
Selection, man. It's a pretty good selection. So if you guys don't know, I am a big Nintendo fan. So like I've been in that world. I do like some PS4 games, like Uncharted series is probably my favorite.
The Last of Us, really good.
Yeah, The Last of Us, that's great. But I would say probably favorite game of all time. 3 years ago, I spent like 130 hours playing. I just started playing again recently to pick up the Korok seeds. Legend of Zelda.
Yep, Breath of the Wild. Yep,
it's just fantastic. Like just it's hard, man. It's just like amazing game. So there you go. Rocket League looks like it's winning. I got to play this Rocket League. Sounds cool. So cars are playing and
it's really fast paced. Yeah, so it's just a field, 3v3 or 2v2 or 1v1, and you're just driving a bunch of cars around, smashing into each other. You have to fly in the air with some boost. You have a whole bunch of nitro and smack the soccer ball that's in the air and try get it in the goal. It's like football, like normal English football, soccer, but with cars. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, wow.
Good to play with a bunch of friends. Yeah, it's fun.
That is awesome. All right, now the last one here. This is one thing that you are into that no one knows about. So we can say your hidden talent, or what is your hidden hobby, or the thing that you like that people will be surprised. I already have my answer ready, but I can go first this time? Okay, let's do it.
Go for it.
You may have seen it here and there, guys, on Twitter, here and there, that yes, I am a professional wrestling fan. And
really?
Yes, and I actually, it's kind of one of those hidden things. I don't watch it all the time. I'm not like diehard, but like I do love my golden era of like 90s wrestling, like with like Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker, like just like the WWF, like the old era. And I just watch. I love these. Like there's this one channel on YouTube called Wrestling Bios. This guy just does these documentary style videos of like wrestling of the 80s, like Macho Man, Randy Savage, like that era. And I just I literally binge his channel, man. And I like message him sometimes, like, dude, yours is the channel. Like when I'm just like coming home, it's late. I just want to put something on. Like it's like I love it. So yeah, that's it for me.
That's a good one. That's tough to beat. I mean, for me, something that people don't know about is a hard one because about a week ago or 2 weeks ago, people wouldn't have ever known that I skateboard. So that's probably my one. Even though it's just been announced, so it is still a secret, I guess, for anyone that didn't see the video. It's just a YouTube short. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. I really enjoyed putting it together. But yeah, same thing for me. I'll hop on YouTube and I'll just watch a montage of skating clips, just bails, because bails are so funny to watch, like I'm just so into skateboarding. It's my kind of, break free from the world jump into something like wrestling is for you. So skating is my kryptonite, especially when I fall. You know, I only record the good parts. Well, I have all the bails recorded too, but I'm not going to show anyone that.
Well, that's awesome, guys.
Yeah,
Go check out that. Definitely go check out that. What is it? An Instagram or where is that?
Well, I think it's on everything. Yeah, it's a YouTube short though, so it's on YouTube as well.
Short. Okay, perfect. Yeah. Well, anyways, if you haven't seen it, you can go check out TechNick's YouTube short, and I'm sure there'll be some fun things in the future related to that. Because I mean, it's exciting to get into something that you love again, because you hadn't done it for so long, right? But now you're like
over 10 years. Yeah, so it's cool to get back into it. Yeah, a lot of fun.
That's amazing, dude. Well, so there we go, guys. I don't know what the final score was, but let's just call it, game over here. It was a fun time. Grab bag is over. And now we go into the wrap up, guys. So it's been a great chat, man. And honestly, it's been a long time coming. TechNick, I want to thank you for joining me here on the Frankie Tech channel. Sure. And I think the plan, we do have a plan. We want to do this again. This can be something we can do on like a monthly basis, and we'll figure out the details, guys, of course. But this was great. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I would like to see like an end of month review, and also because a lot of you guys are interested in tech, so we're going to be focusing on tech. This was just a really good introduction. We had that conversation we wanted to speak about with YouTube niches. So we just wanted to let you guys know that there is a struggle. And if you do see a random video pop up on our channel of Frankie doing a watch or me doing a skateboarding video or a game, just be like, you know what? Let's just give it to them. Let's just give them this gift. Let's check this video out because we love them and their personalities. It doesn't always have to be about phones. Sometimes it's nice to have a little bit of a break from the mobile lineup, Also for you guys too. Just, watch something else that interests us. It would really help. It would boost us up a lot too. It really would help, man. I see Limb Reviews here jumped in and say, learn a lot from the two masters right here. Keep going, guys. Love you, Limb Reviews. So wrapping up, TechNick, I think there's no reason for me to say this, but let's ask, where can people find you and what are you working on next? And I mean, if you guys don't know where to find TechNick's channel at this point, I mean, I can't help you. So well, I mean, obviously TechNick, just type in TechNick on YouTube. I'm there. Instagram, Twitter, also TechNick. Frankie has a much bigger following on social media platforms. He's put a lot of effort. I think I saw your Twitter and you have like 7,000 tweets. I have like 100. So you've really been in the social media game. So you can find me on Twitter. I'm not as present as Frankie. I'll try to get there. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, mainly Twitter and Instagram, not so much Facebook because Facebook is a bit of a dying breed for many people. But YouTube mainly. And also if you are new to the channel, make sure you check my community posts. I usually post every day my community post on YouTube. I use it as if it were Twitter or Instagram. I like to keep the whole community together within YouTube. I like to make it just a single platform. So I used to post once, twice a day on there. I'm going to try to get back into it. Things have just been a bit stale in the tech game, but they're about to pick up a ton right now. Phones are coming very quick. So back to that second question with what am I planning? What am I doing? Right now, it's just kind of wrapping my head around how I'm going to do it all, because there are a lot of phones that are coming out between now and the end of the year. So I'm not quite sure I have no idea how you're going to do it with a full-time gig starting Monday. So I'm probably just I'm going to have to skip a couple of those, man. But that TechNick, you're going to be covering, you're going to have the most, probably the most consistent and out there coverage. And I hope to at least get my hands on some of these because it's going to be nuts, right? It's going to be a nuts time coming up. Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Yeah, I think what I'm working on right now is the Realme GT Master Explorer Edition. Frankie still told me the other day, he's starting with his new gig, so he can't get every phone like he just mentioned now. That is probably the phone to skip, but I did have a lot of people that were asking about it. So I just thought, if Frankie's not really covering it and people aren't covering it, not for views because it's not the most popular phone out there, but a lot of people in my community were asking for it. So right now I'm working on that. It's probably, like we mentioned at the start of the video, one of those phones I will get rid of relatively quickly after I'm done reviewing it. But a lot of people ask for a full review. So I'm going to give you guys the full scoop on that. Video should be out on Monday. And then I have another phone that I can't mention that will be announced on Thursday. So super excited for that one too. So next week is going to be 2 full reviews.
So that's what I'm working on in the very foreseeable future. Yeah.
That's
and you, Frankie,
awesome. Exciting time.
What are you working on? Yeah.
I'm working on getting all the anxiety out of my head to get started with this full-time role, which obviously is going to be, that's probably the biggest thing happening to me. But as it relates to YouTube, of course, I want to assure all you guys out there, you know, yes, maybe it won't be as consistent in terms of like me sitting here in the room on the bed filming, but I'm going to continue putting out videos, and I'm going to continue finding the time to do that. And I think what's exciting about this is that when I started YouTube, I was doing it full time, you know, and that actually lends itself to be able to have the, I guess, the funds to be able to buy more stuff, which has been hard to come by in recent years. So like what I'm excited about is just being able to, once again, be able to check out phones that I maybe previously would have skipped. And so I know the P50 Pro, for example, seems like it's been very hobbled, but I would still love to check it out. And relying on you guys, the audience, you know, to see like what's going on, which phones are coming up that are, you know, that are kind of going to be hot. Of course, I'm excited personally about like the Pixel 6 Pro. I think it's going to be a return to form for Pixel coming up. iPhones, of course, right? And I'm sure there's a bunch of other China releases that I'm going to be like getting messages about very soon, man. And then I'll just go to my guy and be like, where is it? He's like, arriving in 2 days. I'm like, all right, give me one. And then review. So yeah, there will still be phone reviews. There will still be tech on Frankie Tech. I'm not giving up. Like I said, it's my baby. TechNick, you got your baby. You will never give up on your baby. Like you said, till the day we die, no matter what happens, full-time, no job, part-time job, you know, life event, a personal struggle, whatever. Like, but in the end, we are tech YouTubers. This is what we've been doing. This is how we built ourselves up. And so always going to be a lot of great tech coming on this channel. YouTube.com/Frankie Tech, as you know, and on Twitter. And TechNick, I challenge you, man. Get on Twitter, man, because we got some great communities there. And, you know, you are jumping into that more. I'm on Instagram @Frankie Tech as well, but Frankie @Frankie_Tech on Twitter. If you, that's kind of where I spend most of my time for social media. So, but this was great.
Yeah, maybe we'll take the boxing through to Twitter. Maybe we'll start tweeting about different things, about different phones. So watch the Twitter space, because I think that could be pretty cool, pretty exciting. If I'll throw up my opinion about a phone, and then I'll tag Frankie in it. Maybe we can get a little thing rolling with you guys as well, if you are interested in just chatting about a new phone that's coming up. For example, the Huawei. I did put a poll on my community post within YouTube. Make sure you go cast your votes whether I should, or anyone, just like Frankie was wondering, should get the P50 Pro, even though there's no 5G. If you should get the P50 Pro, and if you do get it, there are two different variants that come with two different chipsets, one with the Snapdragon 888, the other one with the in-house built Kirin 9000 chip, both 4G. Cast your vote there, because both of us are clearly interested in the phone. We want to know if you guys want to see it on the channel. So let us know in the comment section, and also make sure you cast your votes in the community side of my channel too. But yeah, this has been a good video. Excited to do it more, for sure.
It's been awesome, man. And thank you to all the wonderful audience here who come. You've seen the collab, dude. #1, dude. Let's make it the first of many. Art Dog, Josh, you see Rodrigo, Headshan, Smart World, Dan Boy, to all you guys, everyone who's been here before and after, man, thank you for stopping by. And how do we do this outro? Maybe I'm gonna do mine first, and we can do it. We can do a hybrid.
Alrighty, let's do it.
So I leave you by saying, wait, you have an outro. Of course, you have an outro. Sorry. What's your outro?
Let's just do it at the same time. We'll just do it same time on 3. Yeah. 1, 2, 3.
This is
TechNick, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Have a good one. Beautiful. All right, man. Well, thanks a lot, guys. Take care, guys, and bye-bye.